Changing presidential debates. The color and the drama. The key defining moments. Deep insights and informed analysis. Watch continuous coverage of the US presidential elections 2024 on WION World is One.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in. The US race to power, marked by high-octane campaign rallies, life-threatening encounters, game-changing presidential debates, the color and the drama, the key defining moments, deep insights and informed analysis. Watch continuous coverage of the US presidential elections 2024 on WION World is One.
Good morning, Asia. Good evening, America. You're watching World DNA with me, Raisha Sehgal.
And I'm Hem Kaur Saroy. And on the show today, we get you the latest from Pakistan, where the National Assembly, it has passed the 26th Constitutional Amendment Bill after securing a two-thirds majority in the lower house. This bill was passed with 225 votes after it was approved in the upper house of the parliament with 65 votes. We'll get you complete details of this on the show. Stay tuned for that.
Also on World DNA, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will leave for Russia today to attend the 16th BRICS summit. This is Prime Minister Modi's second visit to Russia this year, and he is also expected to hold bilateral meetings with his counterparts from BRICS member countries. Getting you that report as well on the show. Lots more lined up, but first a quick check on the headlines.
Terrorist attack in India's Jammu and Kashmir. 7 people, including a doctor and 6 laborers, killed as terrorists target a tunnel construction site in the Gandarbal district.
India's High Commissioner to Canada, Sanjay Kumar Verma, says Canadian government has not presented any evidence linking India to the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Says that the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau had wrecked India-Canada political ties.
Pakistan's National Assembly approves the constitutional amendment bill with two-thirds majority. The controversial bill was earlier cleared by the Senate.
Israel hits targets in Beirut and Bekaa Valley as it begins bombing branches of Hezbollah-linked financial association Al-Qard and Al-Hassan. Reports that the Lebanese state media, Hezbollah claims to down an Israeli drone.
Moldova's president looks set to win the first round of presidential race but decries unprecedented meddling as partial results show majority choosing no in a referendum on joining the European Union.
Hurricane Oscar makes landfall over eastern Cuba with maximum sustained winds near 80 miles per hour.
Charles Leclerc wins the US Grand Prix in a Ferrari 1-2 with Carlos Sainz. Lando Norris loses the third place to his title rival and defending champion Max Verstappen after receiving a penalty.
Our top focus on world DNA. Massive blasts rang out in the vicinity of Beirut's international airport in the early hours of Monday.
This as the Israeli army launched a barrage of rockets across Lebanon. This after it announced the targeting of infrastructure belonging to Al-Qard and Al-Hassan, which the US says is used by Hezbollah to manage its finances.
Now, it has more than 30 branches across Lebanon, including 15 in densely populated parts of central Beirut and its suburbs. The Netanyahu-led country had issued evacuation orders in the region. Reports quoted a senior Israeli intelligence official who said that the purpose of all these strikes are to target the ability of Hezbollah's economic functioning, not only during the war but also afterwards, so that they don't rebuild and rearm themselves.
Hezbollah condemned the Israeli aggression and in response fired rocket at 3 military bases in northern Israel. The rocket salvo targeted bases near Haifa, Safed and Tiberias. Fighting also intensified in Gaza. The Israeli military in a statement said that one of its colonel, Hassan Daksa, commander of the 401st Brigade, was killed in combat in the northern part of the Strip.
2 other officers were injured in the same combat, according to Israeli military spokesperson Daniel Hagari. The commanders were in the field in Jabalia to observe the area and they were struck by an explosive while outside the tank.
Israeli forces have besieged the densely populated refugee camp for weeks. Yesterday, Israeli strikes at the camp killed at least 33 people, including 21 women.
The UN's Human Rights Office has now expressed concern over Israeli military's actions, saying it may be causing the destruction of the Palestinian population through death and displacement.
And Israel has intensified its offensive in Gaza after the killing of Hamas chief Yahya Sinwar.
Well, our next report decodes whether Netanyahu will use Sinwar's body as a bargaining chip in exchange for the release of the Israeli hostages who are still held in Gaza. Take a look.
Hamas chief Yahya Sinwar is killed. The year-long manhunt that consumed Israeli and US intelligence services has ended.
Well, 2 days ago, we took out Yahya Sinwar, the terrorist mastermind whose goons beheaded our men, raped our women, burnt babies alive. We took him out, and we're continuing our battle with Iran's other terrorist proxies. We're going to win this war.
The mastermind of last year's October 7th attack had dodged the Israeli military in an endless warren of tunnels dug beneath the streets of Gaza. Rarely coming above ground, he communicated only through courier to evade electronic surveillance. Sinwar's killing has intensified protests across Israel. Intensifying pressure on the Netanyahu government to urgently secure a hostage deal.
I think the recent developments, especially Sinwar's death, makes us both extremely anxious for her fate, but also hopeful that this might be a turning point, that this should be used as a mean to seal the deal, to end the hostage situation and bring them all home now.
After the IDF forces killed him on the 16th of October in southern Gaza, Israel is now in a position of using Sinwar's body as a bargaining chip in exchange for the release of Israeli hostages held in Gaza. Sinwar's remains are currently being held in a secret location in Israel. More than 100 hostages are reported to be still held in Hamas captivity in Gaza, and reports say the Netanyahu government is actively considering this significant window of opportunity for the return of hostages. Netanyahu has repeatedly called on Hamas members to lay down their weapons and return the captives. Meanwhile, the Israeli government is continuing its all-out effort to eliminate the Iran-backed group. In its relentless attacks across Gaza, IDF claims to have killed dozens of Hamas members in close-quarter encounters on the ground and aerial strikes. Dismantled numerous Hamas-led infrastructure sites and confiscated large amounts of weapons. With all eyes on Israel's next move, will Sinwar's remains provide the endgame for Netanyahu for a Gaza ceasefire and a hostage deal? Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
We still on with stories from West Asia. Though Hezbollah's relentless drone attacks has caught Israel air defenses off the guard, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he's undeterred by Iran-backed group's threat.
Well, our next report will tell you how Hezbollah's drone attacks have revealed weaknesses in Israel's otherwise sophisticated defense systems. Take a look.
Amid the escalating Israel-Hezbollah war, more drones are slipping past Israeli defense systems. On October 19th, an unmanned Hezbollah aerial vehicle targeted Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's home in Caesarea. It was the first time Netanyahu was directly targeted since the war began. Reports indicate Hezbollah had used the Iran-developed Shahed 107 drone for the attack. Described as an explosive and reconnaissance unmanned aerial vehicle, the Shahed 107 is possibly fitted with live streaming capabilities, allowing the operator to identify targets in real time. Part of the Shahed series, the drone can be launched from a vehicle and has an estimated range of up to 1,500 kilometers. The attack highlights a troubling new vulnerability in Israel's defense system, indicating that Hezbollah has identified Israel's blind spot. A week ago, a UAV hit Israel's Golani Brigade training base, killing 4 soldiers and injuring dozens. The drone penetrated Israeli defenses undetected and hit the base 64 kilometers into Israel from the border. Hezbollah's latest tactic of combining heavy rocket barrages with drone strikes has caught Israel off guard. These attacks often confuse the Israeli defense systems. Israel's missile defense systems, Iron Dome, David Sling, and Arrow, are among the most advanced in the world. They have consistently intercepted rockets and missiles launched by Hamas, Hezbollah, and Iran. The Iron Dome is highly effective against short-range rockets, while the David Sling and Arrow target medium and long-range missiles. Together they form Israel's protective shield. The US-supplied THAAD system, designed to defend against long-range missile threats, is also ineffective against these low-flying UAVs. Unlike rockets and missiles, drones pose a different kind of challenge. They move slowly at low altitudes, making them difficult for Israel's radar systems to detect. The drone attacks revealed critical weaknesses in Israel's otherwise sophisticated defense systems, marking a dangerous shift in warfare. It's more worrying for Israel, as Iran has one of the best arsenals of drones. And more than Hezbollah perhaps, it's the fear of Iranian reprisal that is leaving Israel and its allies worried. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
In other global news, Moldova's pro-Western president looked set to win the first round of a presidential race. However, President Maia Sandu accused criminal groups of undermining a referendum on European Union, which risked being narrowly rejected.
After counting of nearly 95% of the votes, about 52% voted no, while 47% voted yes. That was, of course, in favor of EU. However, ballots cast among the country's largest diaspora were still being tallied. Here's a report.
Moldovans cast their ballots on Sunday for their presidential pick and for a say in whether the country should join the European Union. It's a pivotal moment that could bolster the small agricultural economy's drive to join the EU, but allegations of election meddling by Russia have cast a shadow over the vote. As the war in Ukraine rages to the east, the former Soviet Republic has stepped up its push to escape Moscow's orbit and embarked on the long process of EU accession talks. Polls show pro-Western incumbent Maia Sandu has a comfortable lead over her 10 rivals on the ballot, although the race could go to a November 3rd runoff if she fails to reach the 50% threshold to win outright. Sandu urged people to vote as she cast her ballot in the capital, Chisinau. I voted for Moldova to be able to develop in peace and freedom so that Moldova can build the future it wants and deserves, she said. Go out and vote. Every vote counts. Polls show a majority support joining the 27-nation bloc, though 5 of the candidates are against the referendum, which will decide whether to insert a clause into the constitution that defines EU accession as a goal. They accuse Sandu's government of timing the referendum to boost her election haul. Her main rival, Alexander Stoyanoglu, told reporters after voting on Sunday that he boycotted the EU ballot.
I do not support the position of the current government, which came up with this idea that's not related to the European Union itself. This is a referendum to change the constitution. But at the same time, I am a supporter of Moldova's European aspirations.
The country's ties with Moscow have worsened since Sandu came to power in December 2020. Her government has condemned Russia's invasion of Ukraine and accused Moscow of plotting her overthrow. Meanwhile, police have said criminal groups and individuals with Russian backing were intent on disrupting the vote. They have reported actions ranging from bribing voters to back Moscow-friendly candidates to taking citizens for training in Russia to stage riots and civil unrest. Russia denies interfering in Moldova's affairs and accuses its government of Russophobia.
And Pakistan's parliament, it's cleared a constitutional amendment bill in what is being seen as a big win for the Pakistan government.
The lower house of Pakistan Parliament, which is the National Assembly, it passed the 26th constitutional amendment bill with a 2/3 majority hours after the bill was passed in the Senate.
Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif termed it a historic day for the nation and its people. Sharif stated that the amendment will make the provisions of justice more accessible to the people. He also hailed the members of the National Assembly who voted in favor of the bill.
Meanwhile, the Pakistani president has postponed the ratification and signing ceremony of the 26th constitutional amendment bill. On Sunday, the bill was passed by the upper house of the parliament with a 2/3 majority of 65 votes.
The 26th Constitutional Amendment Bill includes provisions like capping the age of the Chief of Justice at 65 or a tenure of 3 years, whichever comes first. It also gives the power to appoint the Chief Justice of Pakistan to a parliamentary committee. The panel shall consist of 8 members from the National Assembly, 4 members from the Senate. The suo motu powers of the High Courts are restricted to the purview of matter. These changes also end military trials for civilians.
Well, WION's Pakistan Bureau Chief Anas Malik spoke with the Information and Broadcast Minister of Pakistan. That is after the bill was passed in Parliament. Take a listen.
I have with me the Information Minister of Pakistan. Thank you so much for taking our time speaking to WION. How do you see the amendment today? What do you have to say on that?
I think it's a historic day for democracy in Pakistan. The framers of the Constitution had envisaged parliamentary sovereignty, parliamentary supremacy. And today, by passing the 26th Amendment, and it was by and large by consensus because the clauses on which PTI had objection, they were removed, and all political parties had developed a consensus on this constitutional amendment. So I think it's a great day for democracy, for parliamentary democracy in Pakistan. It's a great day for parliamentary sovereignty. There was no oversight with regard to performance of judges, regarding appointment of judges. I think the whole process will now be transparent. And the world over, there's a whole process of judicial appointments and performance evaluation. But in Pakistan, the judges were being appointed by their own institution, performance evaluation was being done by their own institution. And we've seen the past, prime ministers have been sent packing on technical grounds by the judiciary. So I think this is a big step forward, and the people of Pakistan will be able to benefit from this. Cases which have been pending for decades, by formation of a constitutional bench, I think the cases of the common man will now go on fast track and people will greatly benefit.
There's a lot of talk with regards to turn courts. What happens to their state? Because it's past midnight, it's almost dawn now. So what happens to that? Do you want to clarify?
I think there were 4 people who voted for this amendment, and they had declared their status as independent. So all the official documentation from their election as MNAs to this voting, they have nowhere stated their party affiliation as PTI.
Right.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will leave for Russia today to attend the 16th BRICS summit and also hold bilateral meetings with leaders of the group's members and other invitees.
Now, Prime Minister Modi will be in Russia at the invitation of the Russian President Vladimir Putin. The summit is being held in Kazan. Meanwhile, Brazilian President Lula da Silva cancelled his trip to Russia for the BRICS summit following medical advice to temporarily avoid long-haul flights after a head injury. In a statement, the presidential office said that the 78-year-old will now participate in the BRICS summit via video conference.
Russian President Vladimir Putin on Sunday welcomed his UAE counterpart Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan for informal dinner at his residence ahead of the BRICS summit. Putin thanked his UAE counterpart for his help in the prisoner exchanges with Ukraine, which just took place a few days ago, and said that they will also discuss a number of issues in detail later, including the crisis in West Asia.
Now, the summit is the first since the expansion of the group to 9 members, with Egypt, Iran, Ethiopia and the UAE joining this year after being offered membership in the 2023 summit in South Africa. Argentina and Saudi Arabia were also invited, but the former declined after a change of government, while the latter is yet to respond. All right, let's shift our focus now. The protesting doctors in the Indian state of West Bengal have agreed to meet the West Bengal Chief Minister Mamta Banerjee today.
But they refuse to end the indefinite hunger strike. The doctors are demanding systematic reforms and a thorough investigation in the rape and murder of a 31-year-old trainee doctor in the state.
Now, Chief Minister Mamta Banerjee reached out to the protesting doctors, invited them for meeting on Monday at the State Legislative Assembly.
Banerjee's invitation comes after the doctors threatened to intensify their demonstrations by launching a statewide medical strike on October 22nd.
In a phone call to the protesting doctors, Mamta Banerjee reassured the doctors that a majority of their demands had been accepted, but rejected doctors' call to remove the state health secretary. The chief minister reminded the doctors of their duty to the public.
Banerjee highlighted that her government has already taken some steps to address their concerns, which includes allotting $1.34 billion for improving health infrastructure in the state and also the establishment of 43 multi-speciality hospitals in the state as well.
The junior doctors, they've been on a hunger strike for 2 weeks. 6 doctors have been hospitalized due to deteriorating health, while 8 others continue their indefinite strike.
Well, we're staying on with stories from India. Police in India's capital, New Delhi, are probing a possible Khalistani link after a strong blast ripped through the wall of a CRPF school on Sunday.
A multi-agency probe, it's been launched to determine the reason behind the explosion and apprehend the perpetrators.
However, according to a senior police officer, the cops are probing a possible Khalistani link in the blast. According to sources, the Delhi police are probing the link after a post circulating on social media which claimed that the explosion was in retaliation to the targeting of pro-Khalistani separatists allegedly by the Indian agents. No one was injured in the blast. That is according to the initial investigation.
Security teams cordoned off the area as the blast damaged the wall of the school, nearby shops and a car. Security has already been stepped up in Delhi due to festival season. Plumes of smoke could be seen billowing from the spot. In purported videos of the incident, local residents said the explosion was intense and there was a foul smell. Forensic experts have sent a suspicious white powder found at the spot to a laboratory for examination. Delhi police said that it is also checking the CCTV footage of the spot and collecting mobile network data to identify people present nearby when the explosion took place.
On that note, it's time now for a quick short break, but don't go anywhere. On the other side of world DNA, at least 6 laborers and a doctor were killed after terrorists attacked a tunnel construction site on the Leh-Srinagar highway in Jammu and Kashmir.
Indian High Commissioner to Canada Sanjay Kumar Verma has accused Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau of wrecking bilateral ties with India. All details on the other side. Stay tuned.
Special business talk show where we bring forth the stories of business leaders.
From breakthrough technologies to visionary leadership, we will unlock the trends, the tactics, and dive into the minds of the industry's most influential leaders.
WION brings you this special series to uncover what drives them in a candid talk show, WION Business Masters.
High-stakes BRICS summit in Kazan, Russia. Amid the wars and imbalances dominating geopolitics. All eyes on PM Modi as India's strategic autonomy will be on test. A rare window for Modi-Xi meet amid the border standoff. 5 new and 24 prospective members in line. An opportunity for Putin to showcase Russia's partnerships. The US race to power, marked by high-octane campaign rallies, life-threatening encounters, game-changing presidential debates, the color and the drama, the key defining moments, deep insights and informed analysis. Watch continuous coverage of the US presidential elections 2024 on WION World is One.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the US.
And I will be here at the WION headquarters, getting you all the action from the universe of sport. All that you need to know about your favorite teams and players, right here.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of.
A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA.
Join the conversation.
To bring the benefits of the Subhash Chandra Show to your educational institution, teachers and students, send an invitation to Juhi Jha at juhi@such.org.in.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Welcome back to World DNA. Thank you so much for staying with us. Lots lined up for you on this side of the show. Let's start by looking at the headlines first.
Terrorist attack in India's Jammu and Kashmir. 7 people, including a doctor and 6 laborers, killed as terrorists target a tunnel construction site in the Gandarbal district.
India's High Commissioner to Canada, Sanjay Kumar Verma, says Canadian government has not presented any evidence linking India to the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Says Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has wrecked India-Canada political ties.
Pakistan's National Assembly approves the constitutional amendment bill with 2/3 majority. The controversial bill was earlier cleared by the Senate.
Israel hits targets in Beirut and Bekaa Valley as it begins bombing branches of Hezbollah-linked financial association Al-Qard Al-Hassan, reports Lebanese state media. Hezbollah claims to down an Israeli drone.
US and Canadian warships passed through waters separating Taiwan and China a week after Beijing held large-scale military drills in the sensitive passage.
Hurricane Oscar makes landfall over eastern Cuba with maximum sustained winds near 80 miles an hour.
Charles Leclerc wins the US Grand Prix in a Ferrari 1-2 with Carlos Sainz. Lando Norris loses the third place to his title rival and defending champion Max Verstappen after receiving a penalty.
All right, our top focus on this side of world DNA. At least 6 laborers and a doctor killed after terrorists attacked a tunnel construction site on the Leh-Srinagar highway in Jammu and Kashmir's Gandarbal district on Sunday.
The attack was carried out by unidentified terrorists late in the evening when the laborers and other staff working on the tunnel project returned to their camps located in the Gund area.
Now, the security forces suspect that the attack was carried out by 2 terrorists who opened indiscriminate fire on the group of laborers, which also included locals and non-locals. While 2 laborers died on the spot, 4 others and the doctor succumbed to their injuries.
The officials also added that 5 people were undergoing treatment for the injuries. Immediately after the attack, security forces cordoned off the area and a search operation was launched to track down and trace down the terrorist.
While top security officials, including Inspector General of Police Kashmir V.K. Birdi, reached the spot to assess the situation, the deceased have been identified as Dr. Shah Nawaz Fahim, Nazir Kaleem, Muhammad Hanif, Shashi Abrol, Anil Shukla and Gurmeet Singh.
The follow-up attack comes after bullet-riddled body of a laborer from Bihar was found in Shopian district on Friday. The attack on civilians has drawn condemnation from the top political leadership in state and centre. Union Home Minister Amit Shah in his expo said that those involved in the heinous act will not be spared, while he extended his condolences to the families of the victims.
State's newly elected Chief Minister Umar Abdullah also condemned the attack, which comes merely 4 days after he was sworn in. Umar Abdullah said that the casualty figures might go up as some grievously injured victims were shifted to the hospital.
In the meantime, Jammu and Kashmir Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha reacted sharply to the attack, saying that the perpetrators would not go unpunished.
All right, for more on this, our special correspondent Idris Loan joins us on the phone line. Idris, thank you so much for joining us. To begin with, what can you tell us of the security situation at the moment?
Well, security has basically taken position and cordoned off the whole of Gagangir area where this attack took place. We've seen that Jammu and Kashmir police along with Indian Army and paramilitary forces have completely cordoned off the whole area and are looking for the militants responsible for the attack. Security forces believe that there were 2 militants who indiscriminately opened fire on the mess where these people were basically having food when the attack took place. There are 4 people who are injured who are being treated at the hospital. 7 of them have succumbed to their injuries last night only, which also included a local doctor from Padgam district. Security forces saying that the attack seems to have taken place by the militants of the Resistance Front, which is the TRF. This is an offshoot of Lashkar-e-Taiba. So far, although they don't have the confirmation because the group has not claimed responsibility on social media as they do on the telegram as soon as they carry out the attack. On the other side, this is the second attack on the civilians after Umar Abdullah was sworn in as the Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir. There was an attack on a non-local labourer who was killed in South Kashmir just 1 day after Umar Abdullah took over as the Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir. And yesterday was the second such attack, but it's a very big attack where civilians are being targeted in Jammu and Kashmir. And Sonmarg side, which is the Gagangir side, has comparatively been one of the calm sides in the Kashmir region. We have not seen many militant attacks taking place in the last few years in that area. And this is also, let me tell you, the route that connects Srinagar to Leh, and also the route that connects Srinagar to Amarnath. So the security is mostly generally on high alert in these areas. But attacking civilians, again, it's an easy target for militants, and seems like they want to send across a message.
Right, Idris. In the past few weeks, we were seeing attacks on the security officials, but now it seems that the civilians in Jammu and Kashmir are also being targeted with an increase in terror attacks from hinterland to mainland. Like you mentioned, that this is the second attack on a civilian after a labourer from Bihar was also found dead in the Shopian district on Friday. All right, it seems like we've lost our connection with our correspondent at this point of time. Moving on to other global news. The Indian High Commissioner to Canada, Sanjay Kumar Verma, who has now been recalled by New Delhi, has accused Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau of wrecking the bilateral ties with India.
Now, Canada designated the High Commissioner and 5 other Indian diplomats as persons of interest in the killing of Sikh separatist leader Hardeep Singh Nijjar in British Columbia last year.
India's response to the allegations was to withdraw the diplomats. It was followed by Canadian government's move to formally expel them as well.
Now, in an interview with CTV, Verma asserted that Trudeau's decision to blame India for Nijjar's killing was based on intelligence information rather than concrete evidence.
Verma highlighted how the Canadian government has not presented any evidence linking him to Nijjar's murder. Verma said, "We needed to see some evidence based on which we can converse with our Canadian counterparts. Unfortunately, not a shred of evidence has been shared with us."
Verma also highlighted Western hypocrisy, saying gone are the days when the so-called developed countries would ask a developing country that you must do this and they will run after them and do it. He questioned Canadian government for not sharing hard evidence, saying we are a rule of law country, as Canada prides itself on being a rule of law country. So won't you give me evidence which is suitable for my own legal process? All right, on to news from the world of business. Now, Indian Airlines have been hit by a wave of hoax bomb threats with over 70 domestic and international flights targeted last week.
Major air carriers including Air India, Vistara, Indigo, Air India Express and Akasa Air have reported multiple incidents causing widespread disruptions to their travel.
Air India Express was particularly affected, with 7 of its flights receiving bomb threats, while Vistara saw 6 threats primarily on international routes. Though all threats have been false alarms, the incidents have forced emergency procedures and delayed flights, leaving airlines scrambling to ensure passenger safety.
Now, the financial impact of these hoax threats are paramount. According to reports, the total cost of these disruptions is expected to exceed Rupees 3 crore or $360 million. This includes expenses like fuel dumping, unscheduled landings, aircraft grounding and crew replacements.
For example, an Air India Boeing 777 flying from Mumbai to New York was diverted to Delhi after a bomb threat, forcing the airline to dump over 100 tons of fuel, a loss of 1 crore rupees in fuel alone. Another costly incident saw an Air India flight to Chicago diverted to a remote Canadian town, stranding over 200 passengers for 3 days, further adding to operational costs.
In response to these escalating threats, the Indian government is preparing to implement stricter regulations. Civil aviation authorities are mulling amendments that would impose tougher penalties, including placing individuals responsible for bomb threats on no-fly lists. Currently, there are no specific provisions in Indian aviation laws for dealing with bomb threats which originate from external sources such as social media.
The aviation industry is calling for these changes as the cost of disruptions continue to mount.
The IMF has encouraged world finance leaders to tighten their fiscal belts.
Now, before they meet in Washington over the next few days with the world's recent inflation crisis behind them and 2 weeks before a possibly historic US election, ministers and central bankers gathered in the nation's capital. They face mounting pressure to organize their fiscal homes while they can. Take a look at our next report for more on this.
The US government debt hit its highest outside of the COVID-19 years. The surge resulted in a $1.8 trillion annual deficit. The shortfall for the fiscal year, which ended September 30th, came to $1.83 trillion, up from $1.7 trillion the previous year. This is the largest on record aside from the 2020 and 2021 fiscal years. The debt surge is due to increased debt interest rates, as well as higher expenditure on Social Security and defense, which have offset an increase in tax collections in 2024. As a result, the world's $100 trillion fiscal time bomb keeps ticking. The likelihood that budgetary concerns would restrict the policy options available to the next U.S. administration has increased. This comes as the interest cost burden on U.S. debt reached its highest level since the 1990s. The Treasury spent $882 billion on net interest payments in the last fiscal year. This is almost $2.4 billion per day. As a percentage of gross domestic product, the cost was 3.06%, the highest level since 1996. One major factor contributing to this is historically large budget deficits. The surge has led the overall amount of debt outstanding to climb in recent years. Why have U.S. interest payments surged? Well, the national debt has been rising rapidly for nearly 2 decades in the last 2 years. The interest rate the government pays has increased as well. These deficits are a result of the unprecedented spending to combat COVID-19, income limits from the 2017 tax cuts, a constant increase in Social Security and Medicare costs. The increase in interest rates brought on by inflation and higher interest rates is another significant factor. While neither former President Donald Trump nor Vice President Kamala Harris has made deficit reduction a central element of their campaign, the debt issue looms over the next administration nonetheless. Visit Bureau Report, WION World is One.
All right, let's now take a look at developments from the world of technology. The US government, it's investigating Tesla's full self-driving system after getting reports of crashes in low visibility conditions, including one that killed a pedestrian. The probe was initiated after Tesla reported 4 crashes involving sun glare, fog and airborne dust. Investigators will examine the ability of Tesla's self-driving system to detect and respond to reduced visibility conditions and determine the contributing factors to the crashes. Time and again, car experts have said the Tesla system, which uses only cameras to spot possible hazards, does not have the proper sensors to fully self-drive. Nearly all other companies working on autonomous vehicles use radar and laser sensors in addition to cameras to set and to see better in the dark and poor visibility conditions.
Drone maker DJI has filed a lawsuit against the U.S. Department of Defense over its addition to the Pentagon list that designates it as a Chinese military company. DJI has said that the company is neither owned nor controlled by the Chinese military. Instead, it is the largest privately owned seller of consumer and commercial drones. The company claims that due to its inclusion in that list, DJI has suffered huge financial losses and reputational harm as well. Moreover, the lawsuit mentions that DJI tried to get in touch with the Department of Defense for 16 months. However, the agency allegedly refused to engage and did not care to explain its reasoning behind adding the company to that list.
A team of scientists from Hungary have developed a groundbreaking new drone technology called Swarm. This new drone technology allows up to 5,000 drones to fly autonomously and react in real time to their environment and each other while executing individual routes and tasks. The Swarm technology allows drones to make onboard autonomous decisions and safely mitigate conflicts to avoid collisions. The company is hoping to see its Swarm technology be used in different sectors in the future, such as agriculture, military, land surveying, goods delivery and air traffic control.